Hi, so welcome to another episode of the SkyoöD-Vu P.O.V show. I know it's been a while, apologize for that, but it is what it is. Life just gets in the way while you're busy making other plans. So, on to the show. A couple of points I wanted to talk about. So late last night, I was able to finally watch the Abu Dhabi race, the final race of the season, which has been a frustrating season for me as a tifosi. Was rather frustrating to see Ferrari where they ended up being. But nonetheless, Abu Dhabi was an awesome race. First thing I wanted to point out was, or mention rather, is a big shout out to Renault and the Halo system for letting Nico Hulkenberg survive that nasty little crash there. It could have been a lot worse. So even though the Halo system is ugly as all get out, I think it's established itself as being a useful safety device, and so the drivers don't seem to have any issue. They say they get used to it and don't even really see it while driving. So we as fans, I guess, we'll just have to put up with it. It could have been a lot worse. Man of the race, in fact, racer of the season, in my opinion, definitely Max Verstappen. His performance this season has been incredible. And in Abu Dhabi, he again just showed what he's capable of doing. I mean, lap 10, his counter pass on Hamilton is the stuff of legend. I mean, Hamilton overpassed him, and then Max just stuck it right behind him. I mean, he put his nose in Hamilton's gearbox and wouldn't let go until he had the opportunity to make a move, and move he did. Then it was lap 38, his move on Valtteri Bottas. Sure, maybe a little rough and maybe even a little risky for open wheel racing, but as they say in NASCAR, if it ain't rubbing, it ain't racing. So big shout out to Max Verstappen for making the season definitely enjoyable and being able to overcome some of the negativity and emotional downtroddenness I felt through the season of seeing Scuderia Ferrari not go where they needed to be. Also was interesting, Red Bull managed to take the season pit stop championship with a 2.0 second pit stop for Max Verstappen when he came in for his first and only tire change. Was absolutely unreal. Also have to say I really enjoyed the season-ending donut display put on by Alonso, Vettel, and Hamilton. It was really cool to see a two-time champion flanked by Vettel as a four-time, and Lewis, now the newly crowned five-time world champion, come up onto the straightaway, and then they were to the left and right of Alonso, and they pulled out several donuts, which was really, really cool, and I'm sure the crowd really got a kick out of that. And I loved watching it on TV, and I would have loved to have been to see there and smell the tire smoke in person. That was a great display, and I think that's something that the new management of Formula One, that's probably to their credit, that allows for those sorts of things. That's what the crowd wants to see. It definitely under the more serious Bernie Ecclestone era, something like that would have never happened. As for my beloved Scuderia Ferrari and Vettel, well, I don't know. Credit is due where credit is due. Hamilton did a great job. Mercedes did an awesome job of ensuring Hamilton had what he needed to win the championship for all intents and purposes. I think it was more a case of that Ferrari basically lost a championship versus Hamilton really outright winning it against them. I would say it's probably about 60% of the fault rests on Seb's shoulders and 40% on the Scuderia's. That goes to their credit. I don't know what it is with Sebastian. I don't know if Hamilton was able to get to him with psycho tricks. I don't know what is going, but his nerves got the very best of him. In many races, he was just trying too hard, was basically trying to win the race in the first lap. Azerbaijan, he locked the cold tires on a restart after the first lap went to virtual safety car. There was a bunch of crashes. Then France ran into the back of Bottas in the first turn. Germany slid off the track in the rain. Italy screwed up qualifying in that he didn't get the pole. Now, of course, that's partially also because of the strategy and that the Scuderia allowed Kimi to get out there and take the pole without giving the priority to Sebastian to have all that he needed to try and get that pole position. And then after the poor qualifying, on top of it, bad start and a poor defense of the line against Hamilton, and then a poor attempt to retake against Hamilton, which basically got him knocked off the track. And then Scuderia went down the wrong path with the undercarriage of the car. They had a much better car at the beginning of the season, but then got off some aerodynamic tangent of some kind with the under tray, and the car just never performed the way it should have. And then by the time they re-engineered the car to the original setup, by that time, the ship had sailed for their chances of clawing back for the championship. And then several bad pit stop strategies. Again, like I mentioned in Italy, then there was the bad decisions on how to go about getting that pole for the final laps, timing the vehicle when it went out for its pole attempt, and not Vettel definitely didn't enjoy a priority over Kimi. There was definitely not a 1-2 situation like Schumacher enjoyed all the years he was there. And next year it could be even worse. I mean, maybe there'll be enough changes in the rules of the regulations of the cars. I don't know what they all are. I haven't followed that closely, but I know they've been talking sort of in loose terms that there's going to be some changes coming there. So maybe this gives Ferrari a shot, to start with a fresh sheet of paper. But when it comes to having a number 1 and a number 2 driver, that's definitely doesn't look like it's going to happen either, because we've got a young, hungry Leclerc coming off a great season with an inferior car at Sauber, and really making the most of it. And I don't think Ferrari is going to give the Vettel the number 1 and Leclerc the number 2 position. I think they will again be treated equals, even though Vettel definitely has more experience and more time on development, should at least get the first season that Leclerc is there. Leclerc should be there out there earning his bones and learning in the first season of Ferrari and supporting Sebastian. It would be the interest of the Scuderia to win the championship, not only constructors but also the World Drivers' Championship if they follow that policy. But I get the feeling it's not going to happen. And I'm completely convinced that was one of the reasons Hamilton held out so long on re-signing his contract, simply because I think that was all done in part to cement his need to be the number 1 option in the team, and that Bottas is definitely his wingman. And that's, in fact, that's what Toto Wolff calls Bottas. He calls Bottas Hamilton's wingman, so he's there to support him. Just like Schumacher enjoyed all the years that he was with Scuderia Ferrari, and always there was a distinct number 2 there. Well, anyways, that's pretty much it for this episode of SkyoöD-Vu P.O.V show. I hope you liked what you heard, liked what you saw. Even if you didn't, make a comment. Please hit that subscribe down the button down on the bottom of the screen there, and we'll see you next time.